This podcast is part of the Everyday Heroes Podcast Network, the network for first responders and those who support them.
Disclaimer. All views expressed on What Makes Us Fire are solely those of the person or persons giving them. What Makes Us Fire does not represent or claim to represent any particular city or fire department, and therefore make the claim that all views and standpoints are affiliated with What Makes Us Fire and with What Makes Us Fire only. Any mention of certain fire departments or cities within the interviews are solely for informational and opinion-based dialogue. In short, if you have a problem with what's published, just say something about it and don't be a Richard.
What is up, What Makes Us Fire family? This is Josh, your host of the What Makes Us Fire podcast, founder of the What Makes Us Fire Foundation. Thank you for joining us on the show today. Before we get started, I want to dismiss some rumors and some things that are being said out there about What Makes Us Fire Foundation. Yes, we are starting from the ground up. Yes, we have to reapply for our 501c3. So just to let everybody know where we're at and what's going on, What Makes Us Fire is rebuilding. We are restructuring, and we are going to make it bigger and better than it was before. I'm not going to go into details as to what exactly happened. Just know that as of right now, any donation and or purchase of the What Makes Us Fire gear on the website at whatmakesusfire.org goes to helping us rebuild. Unfortunately, any donation will not be a tax write-off currently. That's just current. As soon as we can reapply for that 501c3 status, we're waiting on some legal stuff, then all donations will be again a tax write-off. But unfortunately, we do have to wait a little bit for that. I want to be 100% transparent with you. Those donations that you're making currently are considered private and personal donations. You are helping me, Josh, rebuild What Makes Us Fire back into the nonprofit it was before. That money is being used for reimbursement, for legal fees, and for basically rebranding until we can get that 501c3 again. So 100% honesty, 100% transparent, that's what it is. I want to thank everyone, all of you, for the support that you've been showing What Makes Us Fire and myself and the mission that we truly have to help our civil service members with their mental health. In saying all that, my guest today is Mr. David Allen Stone. He's a good friend of mine, and he's actually a recently good friend of mine. He is a country music artist, recently signed with the management team called Mohawk Music. He came and performed for a fundraiser for What Makes Us Fire about a week ago, and he did phenomenal. He did absolutely phenomenal. The show was great. We did better than expected, and David is actually currently enlisted into the Army National Guard. He's been deployed a couple times, and his first deployment, bit of a shit show. And then his second deployment, he experienced something that would break the strongest of us. And I'm going to let him kind of explain all of that to you guys. And I just want you all to realize that him opening up about his experience and talking about it, he learned that the more he talked about it, the better it was able to handle. He became better at not allowing it to affect him and him being more in control than the actual situation. So without further ado, my brother, my friend, Mr. David Allen Stone.
Much bigger. Everything's better when it's bigger.
That's why I'm in Texas. That's what she said. Who was that?
My wife.
Oh.
He was like, who's that? Said my wife.
Well, I have heard there is such a thing as too big. I don't know how true that is, but you know, it is what it is. Well then, we'll just jump right into it. Thank you for coming on to the What Makes Us Fire podcast, brother. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Mr. David Allen Stone, up and coming music artist. Going to be world famous.
Maybe. We'll see.
maybe we'll see. Gotta have that confidence, bro.
Oh, I have plenty of confidence, man.
Well, you do. You do have plenty of confidence. The fact that you can get up on stage, play guitar, and sing at the same time, like my brain doesn't work that way. I have ADHD like to the max, so I can only hyper focus on one thing at a time. I used to try to play guitar and sing at the same time, and one or two things would happen: play the guitar just fine, forget the words, mess up my singing, or sing really well and not play the guitar at all because I'm like my hands and voice don't work at the same time. But the fact
I don't know what to do with my hands.
No, that's exactly.
I don't know what to do with my mouth.
It's exactly it. I didn't know. Whoa, you don't know what to do with your mouth? Whoa.
I don't know what to do with my mouth whenever my hands are moving, man.
Man, that sucks for her. Anyway, so I usually like to start off the podcast really introducing to you, Mr. David Allen Stone. For everybody that doesn't know who David Allen Stone is, go literally look up David Allen Stone music on all social media and you will find him. He has a very pretty face for being as old as he is. But he's also bald like I am too. So we have bonded on that, being bald and everything. But no, we met through Kat, who is your manager with Mohawk Music. And she kind of told you that we were going to be doing an event, and she said you're a veteran. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I say this right. Are you a veteran or are you currently serving?
I'm still serving right now in the Army National Guard. Yeah.
Okay, so you're still serving.
Yeah.
So you're still serving. You're trying to become this country music artist, and you're on social media, obviously promoting that and being an advocate for mental health and being an advocate for your veterans and for your fellow servicemen and women, which is huge. And she was just like, you got to get him on the show. I'm sure he has an amazing story. He's all for talking about mental health and everything else. But I don't think she told you is that this is not about our opinions. It's about you.
Right.
It's about your struggle, what you went through, how you got through it, if you're still going through it. And basically, I like to pry. I like to pry a little bit. If I pry a little bit too much, just be like, I can talk about it. And if you don't want to talk about it, I'll be like, okay, respected. No big deal. So I do like to pry, and I like to really dig in to kind of understand what the mindset is, right? What the idea is behind how you think. The reason why I like to do that is it allows other people that are getting to know you and that are listening to the episode to be like, you know what? I'm going through something similar, and he's handling it a little bit different way. The way I've been handling hasn't really been working. Maybe I try it his way, right? If it's working for him, maybe I try it his way. Maybe it can work for me. And or if they do try it your way and it doesn't work, at least that's another checklist. That one didn't work. Let me move on and try something else.
Right.
But the whole idea is to, one, kill the stigma that is talking about mental health openly and honestly, but two, is to allow people to know that it's okay to try as long as you continue to try. It's okay to fail at getting something fixed, especially yourself. You're going to fail because you're going to have to figure out what works and what doesn't. And certain things are going to work and certain things aren't. And so that's the whole idea. And you knew this. Excuse me. I'm drinking beer. You're going to have to excuse me. I'm burping a little bit. Yeah, I know. But, I told you about this a little bit and everything else. And you're like, yeah, I'm down. I'm totally down.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate it. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And I really do appreciate you being a part of Mohawk Music and saying yes to coming out this past weekend. For everybody that is unaware, David Allen Stone, along with Anthem of Destiny, Dylan Gray, and KDB came out to Houston, Texas, and performed at El Big Bad for What Makes Us Fire Foundation charity fundraiser. And he did an amazing job. And everybody out there just loved the event, loved the talent. You guys were so fucking good. We were all a little bit stressed because we're all up and coming in our perspective things that we're doing. And so a lot of the work had to be done on our own. We didn't have any stage hands. We didn't have any,
See, that's a great thing about being in the military too, man. It's like whenever crap like that starts happening, it's like, oh man, what do we do? What do we do? It's like I've learned to just cope with the stress. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, it's embrace the suck, basically, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Why are we stressing out about this? Like, we'll get it done. We still have plenty of time. Let's knock it out. Just think about what we're doing. But like, I mean, it's just, just that stuff doesn't really stress me out anymore. It's
yeah, no, you were probably
so weird.
It's hard to tell who was more calm, you or Katie. Dylan, Bryce, myself, Kat, Dez. We were running around with our chickens with the head cut off, and you're just like, doop, 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 doop. We're gonna get it done.
Calm down, guys.
We got this.
Calm down.
Doop, doop, doop. And I'm like, no, David, we got to do it now. And it ended up looking great.
It did.
Sounded great, and we ended up surpassing our goals. So we're going to see Bryce in a dress and a wig and high heels, and
that's going to be great.
And Daisy Dukes. So that's going to be awesome. We should have made you wear a dress.
No, not happening.
Well, I mean, because you're tall, you probably have legs for days.
Yeah, dude, I look like a girl too much already. So no.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Besides my baldness.
I wasn't going to say anything, but you are a very pretty man. Oh my God, there's something wrong with us. Anyway, man, again, thank you for coming on the show. And I like to start off with kind of getting a history of you. The reason why I like to do that is you were David Allen Stone before you were David Allen Stone serviceman. You were just David Allen Stone, normal human being doing his thing throughout life. So kind of take us through what life was like for you. Start when baby Stone up to bald Stone.
Up to bald Stone. Baby Stone to bald Stone.
Yeah.
I love it, man. So I grew up in a really small town called Porterville, which is just north of Robinson, Illinois. And I mean, it's, I loved it. I had friends there. I only had like 2 friends in this little town that I actually hang out with. We were basically the only 2 kids. But so I grew up there. I had a biological father who I call sperm donor, but that's besides the point. My mom divorced him. He was kind of abusive to my older brother. And so she left him and married my dad now, who is Brad Hill, an amazing man. Like, he adopted me 2 years ago.
Oh, nice.
3 years ago, because I was 33 and I'm 36 now. So he adopted me 3 years ago. So that was kind of, being 33 and going into a courthouse and signing adoption papers. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It was kind of a long time thing waiting, but I'm finally happy that it did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't grade school. I actually did pretty good in grade school. I was a pretty good student. And then about whenever I was 5 years old, I started doing plays at a local community college. They had a thing that was called theater or children's theater workshop. And so they have like plays and all kinds of things, music, singing, dancing. So I did that for 11 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I was in all kinds of plays, music, stuff like that. And picked up my first guitar when I was 8. Self-taught, taught myself how to play. I can't read a lick of music, but you give me tablatures, I can read them all day. Then, coming up into the high school, I kind of stepped away from the guitar. Stepped away from the guitar, stepped away from music, started doing sports, then started getting in trouble. Started getting into, some drugs real bad, some other stuff like that. And, it was getting to the point where I was like, man, I have got to do something. I have got to clean myself up.
Mm-hmm.
And so a recruiter came. He's like, hey man, what do you think about joining the Army? Like, yeah, let's do it. And I need something to clean me up. It's something that I think I'd be good at. And so I never really paid attention in high school or anything, so my grades were crap anyway. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. And so in 2004, I did the RSP program for the Army. So basically what that is you like drill 1 week in a month before you actually go to your basic and annual or your AIT.
Mm-hmm.
And so I swore in 2004. In 2005, I went to basic training and did my AIT as well, straight after basic training. And then as soon as I got back in 2005, I deployed to Iraq, and then came back in the middle of 2006. Was home for 2 years. 2008, went to Afghanistan. Came back in 2009, and then recently just did a COVID deployment here in Illinois. That was weird.
Yeah, they sent us a little bit on some COVID deployments for our fire department, where we went off to different parts of the state and either were helping with vaccines or testing or so that was weird too. But I understand that.
Yeah, but Iraq was totally weird, man. It was all right. So it's a heck of a story. So buckle up.
Hold on, before we get into that story. Yeah, you said your wife was there earlier.
Yep.
When the hell did you meet her?
Oh, so I met Brittany. It was probably a few months after I got back from Afghanistan.
So in 2006?
Nope. Afghanistan was 2009.
2009. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
So in 2009, met Brittany. She picked me up the clearance aisle at Walmart because I worked at Walmart.
Oh, nice. Okay.
She will say it was a shoe store. We fight about it all the time. I was like, no, you found me in the clearance aisle. It's funnier.
Well, shoe store, I think, is Al Bundy. So, Married with Children. He was a shoe store worker.
Yeah. But I was working at Walmart, and it was funny because my mom worked at a lawyer's office, and she worked at a gas station here in town. And it was so funny because I remember one time I stopped in probably 3 times that day. I always stop in, get my mom a soda, and then I'll take it to her. And the only reason why I stopped at that gas station was to see Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk into her office, and at one point she had 4 like cold drinks sitting on her desk because I stopped in there 4 times before I even went home. And so yeah, that's when I met Brittany. Then we got married September 25th, 2010. And then in 2011, our first child was born. 2013, our second child was born.
All right. No.
This ain't a TikTok, buddy.
Well, okay. So you met your wife after your Afghanistan deployment. So that was after 2 deployments, you met your wife. Mm-hmm. And you met her because you were a creepy stalker guy that would go to the convenience store that she worked at to buy a drink just to look at her.
Yeah, pretty much. And I didn't have any nerve to ask her then. So she found me one day in Walmart, and then I asked her for a phone number then, and then it just kind of took off from there.
All right. Well, there you go. See, she had to make the first move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I asked her for her phone number.
Yeah, but she had to go find you.
Yeah, she had to come find me.
Before we get into your service experience, I want to take it back a little bit on your childhood. You said you had a father who you consider a sperm donor. When did that divorce happen? At what age?
So whenever I was 2 years old,
Oh, okay. So you're young enough to.
Yeah. I was. Yeah. The first time I ever met the man, like I'd meet him off and on, and then he moved down to Texas, and then it wasn't until I don't know, I was 18, and then I got a plane ticket, went down there and seen him, and just to say hi, and and meet my little brother that I hadn't met in forever. So
right.
That was kind of a cool experience.
What growing up like that, knowing that your father wasn't your actual father, right, and that you were only seeing this guy every now and then. What kind of psyche did that put into you? It was like me. My parents divorced when I was fairly young, like 7 or 8, but I was old enough to know what was going on, and I only saw my dad's, especially when he was deployed. It could be 6, 7, 8 months at a time where I wouldn't see him, and then my mother was dating, of course, until she finally met my stepfather, and not really having that father figure around as a young boy. It's a little different when you compare it to your friends at that young of an age who have their dad there and everything else,
Yeah. It was not long after when my mom met my dad now.
Okay.
So yeah, I always had a father figure in my life. I mean, and it was Brad, my dad now. Like right after my mom divorced, my biological father, she met Brad and married him, and they've been together ever since. So, it wasn't, I've always had my dad. So that, growing up like that, like there was a part of me, that was thinking, why, why did my biological father just up and leave, and didn't give two shits about me? You know what I mean? Like he just left, but I also had, my dad, Brad, there, to just be like, hey, just to comfort me, and I also had my mom, who's very good at that, just comfort and talking to me. And
did your biological father ever explain to you why he left, or has he ever explained to you why he left?
Not really. No, I never even brought it up, man. Honestly, I mean, it was whenever I was 18, it was to the point like I didn't care. In my eyes at that point, he wasn't even my dad. Brad was. You know what I mean? So.
Got you. I like to ask because, my experiences and certain experiences that I'm going through right now, I'm interested to know what that does to a kid growing up, because we obviously take that and that becomes a part of how we react to the world around us as we're growing up, because we're put in these difficult situations, these not what is considered your typical family, right? Mom, dad, brother, sister, and you. That's a unbroken household, I guess you can say. And by broken household, I only mean like mother and father are still together,
right?
Compared to not. But I know that sometimes can have an effect on a child, especially growing up. But it sounds like with you, since Brad came into the picture, he stepped up. He stepped up in a big way. Yeah. So. Yeah. And that's a big thing. And I'm happy for you that you had that. Yeah.
And see, it's crazy because my stepdad, well, my dad now, since he adopted me, he has no children of his own. Like him and my mom have never had kids together.
Okay.
And so growing up, I was his son, and so was my brother. So that's, for a man to be able to do that, it just, holy crap. You know what I mean? Like I have so much, it's so funny because growing up, me and my stepdad, we butted heads all the time, man. It would be me and screaming at him and him just slightly raising his voice. Like he never screamed at me ever. Like he's a very intimidating man. He's like 6'2", like freaking 250, 260. Like he's a big dude. And so he's very intimidating, you know what I mean?
Right.
But me and him, it's crazy because even though he's not my biological father, we have such the same personality that me growing up, we just butted heads. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I would just scream at him and he'd just take it. And then, calm me down or raises just the tone of his voice, man, would just be like, oh my God, like,
oh God, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please don't unalive me right now. I apologize for yelling. No, I know that feeling that when you're a kid, you're just like, oh crap, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Yeah.
But like, there was always a part of me, man, that was like an abandonment like issue. You know what I mean? Like, so I think a part of me always thought, that he was going to abandon me too, and he never did. You know what I mean?
Right.
So even though I wasn't old enough to like comprehend what my biological father did, I still had that mentality that, oh, he's going to leave too. You know what I mean? Like, why do I need to love this guy if he's going to leave too? And then, like once I joined the military, it was like me and him just clicked. Like it was just all of a sudden, man, it was just one day, me and him just, man, it was, and we are unbreakable, man. Like I love that man to death.
But yeah, he's your father.
Yeah.
So it's funny how you use the military and you kind of give it credit and kudos to you finding that commonality, right? Finding that,
right, yeah.
Finding that bond, which is, it's weird that something like that could facilitate that bond to become stronger. Because really all it is you making a choice in your life to go and serve, but that choice molds your mind to either finally realize and respect the man for what he did, and for him, realize and respect the man that you're becoming. Yeah. So it's this weird dynamic that something like that, going into the civil service in any realm, really, when you're making a choice to do something for other people, that bond that it can create through you and your father, you and your friends, you and your mother, depending on whoever. But you're not the first person I've heard that going into the service actually made a bond stronger.
Oh yeah.
With a parent. And yeah, man, it's weird hearing that, but and I really would like to figure out the science behind it, because there's something to it, because it's your story is not, I mean, it's uncommon to you because it's your story, but it's not such an uncommon story that we hear happens a lot.
Right. Yeah.
So, you said you were going to move forward, and that, again, thank you for sharing a little bit and not allowing me to ask questions, but moving forward, you said at around 8 years old was the first time you picked up a guitar. You were in theater for about 11 years, from the age of 5 to about the age of 16. You're in theater, you're in music. Did you focus mainly on music, or did you focus mainly on acting? Like, what was the main focus?
So it's crazy, like, talking about this, because every time I say this, people are like, well, how'd you become a country artist? Mm-hmm. But my dream actually was to be on Broadway. So I wanted to perform on Broadway.
You wanted to do show tunes.
Yeah. So I've always had a passion for that as a kid. And then, growing up a little more, I started getting more into the music side of it than, the dancing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was my dream from a kid up until, I was 14, was to do Broadway. And then 15, 16, I was focusing more on my vocal patterns, how to push out my voice, how to sing, and things like that whenever it came to theater. And so, but then, joined the military, I kind of lost focus on music. And so this brings us into, I don't know if you want us to jump right into the deployment yet or not.
No, not yet, man. I know you're itching to tell the story. I told you, I like to pry, and I like to get an idea of the person that you developed yourself to be before you went. And enlisted.
I just don't want to jump ahead and then have to go back.
No, you're good. If we go back, we go back. Look, I like rabbit trails, because especially if we get off topic a little bit, because rabbit trails allow me to hear a passion of yours that might not be exactly what we were talking about, but it allows you to really kind of explain this path of why you went. And even though, because usually it comes back around to it.
Yeah.
but I love rabbit trails, man. Like, so if we go off on a little rabbit trail, by all means, that's good. But yeah, you are right. I do want to kind of hold off just a little bit because, in high school, you said you got into a little bit of trouble and you got into a little bit of using drugs. And I'm interested as to what kind of brought that about. Yeah, it sounds to me like you had a pretty good childhood. You had a man step up to be your father. You had a loving, caring mother. You had a younger brother, and it sounds like you didn't have too rough of a time.
No, I honestly didn't. I just started hanging out with the wrong crowd. So probably my freshman year of high school, I started hanging out with a wrong group of people, and they were the ones that were drinking and into drugs, and so being it was more of like a rebel phase. You know what I mean? So I kind of hit that phase in my life and started hanging out with these people and doing the drugs. And
if you don't mind me asking, what kind of drugs were you dabbling in?
So so there was we had some coke, some weed, couple other pills, LSD, man, pretty much anything you could probably think of. It was happening.
Okay.
At this one house.
Did you feel like at any point in time during that time of your life, now you're in your teens, so your brain is developing, right? And a lot of the times when people develop addictions is when their mind is developing and you're putting these substances in your body, and now your mind's thinking, oh, this is something we're going to need if we're going to continue doing this.
And it's crazy because we were trying so many different things at once. You know what I mean? That, like, I don't know, like 1 year we would try one thing, and then I didn't like it. And then the next year we were trying something different. And then the next year we were trying something different. So each thing that I did, I never really liked, but I just did because everybody else was doing it. And like, I never got addicted to it.
Okay.
Like, so I was never addicted to any of the drugs. The thing that had me the most was the alcohol. So it's just something I could drink, if I didn't have to, I was poisoning my body, but not my, it wasn't killing my brain along with my body. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it was, but it didn't feel like it was doing as much damage as, say, cocaine or something else like that. Right. And that makes sense because, and even though it is doing damage to ourselves, we don't think of alcohol as a drug that can kill us as quickly as these other types of drugs can.
Right. Yeah.
Abused, any drug can kill you. Alcohol, just the same as you're drinking Dr. Pepper and I'm drinking alcohol.
Social drinker.
Yeah. And that's what I am. I am a social drinker. Like if I'm sitting down having a conversation with somebody, a glass of whiskey, a beer, I always enjoy just having a drink, talking. It helps loosen the tongue a little bit. Helps calm the nerves. Not saying I use it for that. It just, I just have a drink when I talk to people. Yep. Well, I'm glad that you didn't get hooked on anything. And the fact that it sounds like you were just, if I jump off a bridge, I'm going to jump. If you jump off a bridge, I'm going to jump too, just because, especially if you survive, because you did it and you're my friend, I'm going to do it too. And so you tried it, and thank God you didn't get addicted to anything. When did that part of your life kind of get cut out? You said you were noticing some detriment from this lifestyle.
Right. So
what did that look like?
That recruiter showed up, and, I knew let's see, how's it, excuse me, how's it go? Freshman, junior, sophomore, senior?
Yes. Yes. No. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior? Okay, yes. So my junior year is when the recruiter showed up. And so for those, 3 years, because it was at the end of my junior year, whenever that Army recruiter showed up, for those 3 years, I was like, all right, I got to do something. This is killing me. This is not the way to make friends. I'm hanging out with the wrong people. You know what I mean? So
I guess what I'm asking, what was it about that lifestyle that you were living? Like, did something happen? Were you just noticing you were starting to slide? Like, what was that aha moment of, I need to make a change?
So honestly, it was just the way it was making me feel, man. There was just a switch, man. It was like, hey, this is not the way that you are supposed to make friends. This is not the lifestyle that you're supposed to be living. You know, you had this awesome life as a kid. Like, what happened?
Right.
And so a part of me was like, I want to get back to that again. I need to clean myself up, but I don't know how. Mm-hmm. And then the answer just came to the high school.
That's interesting, because usually people have to hit a rock bottom when they're in that kind of lifestyle to realize, oh shit, I need to make a change. Or they start noticing a detriment that is developing and they're like, I don't like the way this is going or where it's going. I need to make a change. You said in high school, you kind of didn't care about school very much and your grades were slipping and everything else. I guess I was kind of leading to that. Did you notice that what you were doing in the lifestyle you're living, was it a part of the reason why you were having those kind of issues in school? Do you attribute it to the lifestyle you were living?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, because of how I was acting in school, like my grades slipping, everything, like I was at the point where I didn't care about school. Like, it's funny now because I see my 10-year-old in it, but like, I was the type of person that I always thought I was the smartest person in the room. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because drugs will do that to you. And so
yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, if you get two people smoking pot together, they think they are the smartest people talking about the dumbest crap. So
yeah, that's true. That's very true.
That definitely had an impact, because I didn't care about school. And I wish I would have cared more, and got better grades in school, and things like that. But yeah, as soon as that Army recruiter showed up, man, I was like, yep.
So what was it about this Army recruiter showing up and showing you this? Like, how did they sell you on it? Now, don't get me wrong. Selling the Army to a 17-year-old kid is a lot easier than selling the Army to some 25-year-old kid. Okay.
Right.
And so they know this. They're trained in this when they do their recruiting. They know what to say, how to say it, and how to get your mind and your ears perked up to go, really? Maybe that's not a bad idea. Yeah. And before I go any further, did you have any family that was close to you that was in the service or that did?
I did.
Okay.
I did, actually. So the Army recruiter showed up, and it was crazy because like I said, I only had, my two really good friends that lived in this small town with me.
Right.
And we had this big patch of woods behind us, and we'd grab our toy guns, and stuff like that. And we'd always go to the woods and we'd play Army. We'd roll around in the dirt. We'd do low crawls, like it was, again, like I said, coming off the drugs, I had an awesome childhood. I wanted to get back to that childhood again. So playing Army, was one thing that me and my friends used to do whenever I was a child. And so basically it was crazy because I went from basically this teenage adult mentality back to a child mentality because of that's whenever I was the happiest before I started getting into everything.
Right.
And so I wanted that again. So he didn't have to push hard at all. Like, it was like, I'm looking for the change. You're here. I think this will be great because me and my friends, we used to, play war in the woods. We did paintball, like everything. Like, it was just
playing Army and being in Army are two different things. You're not having a paintball fired at you. You're having,
right.
You're having a 306 round or a 228 round fired at your ass. And those hurt a little bit more than paintballs. Paintballs hurt like hell, but those hurt a little bit more. When you started this, when you started going through your training, now you said RPF, right? Is that it?
RSP.
RSP, sorry. RSP. You started doing this RSP where you would go once a weekend and you would do drill, come back. Mm-hmm. And now you did this throughout your senior year of high school?
My junior year and my senior year.
Your junior year and your senior year of high school. And this is before you went off to basic.
Correct. Yep.
During that time, did the idea of being in the Army start changing, or did it make it stronger? Did it make it more of a holy shit, this is real? Like, take me through that mindset process of when you signed on the dotted line to the point up into basic, and then what basic was like. Like, how did those mindset shifts?
So the main shift that really changed my mind was 9/11.
Okay.
So in 2001, that really, because I graduated in 2005. So 2001, this is going back. Sorry, man. But
no, you're good. You're in ninth grade. Yeah, you're in ninth grade. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2001, 9/11 happened. And I knew right then that, besides going back to my childhood, that I needed to start cleaning myself up, because Army was what I was going to do. I just, I knew it. Mm-hmm. And so after that, and then started the RSP program, it just pushed my passion more. Like, start getting clean, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a career out of this, and I know it. And so that pushed my mentality more towards, sobering up and getting clean and, everything else. So that, I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah, that's basically my mentality from 2001 to,
to when you went to basic, straight to basic.
Mm-hmm.
During basic and before you're getting deployed, obviously, what was that experience like for you? I hear a lot of stories where some people go into basic and they're thinking they have this idea of what it's going to be like, right? And this is across all boards. This is Air Force, Army, Marine, Navy. Doesn't matter who I've talked to. They go into basic having this idea of what it's going to be, and life slaps them in the face and goes, you thought it was going to be this way. So I'm interested as to what were your thoughts going into it? Because obviously you had this idea, like, I'm going to do this. This is something I really want to do. And then boom, basic happens, and walk us through that.
So basic training, actually for me, it was pretty awesome. I have a lot of funny stories to tell, not any like horror stories.
Okay.
But it was awesome because our basic training, even our drill sergeant said that we were the best recruits that they've ever had come through. And like, that was awesome to me. If I could go back to basic training, I would, with the exact same people. If I had to go back with anybody different, I wouldn't go back. But it's hard, man. It is. It's, I was going into it, still in that mentality, like, oh, I can low crawl, I can do all this stuff, and, but as soon as that drill sergeant gets on the bus and starts like, oh, get off my bus, blah, 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 put your bag down, pick your bag up, put your bag down, pick your bag up, put it on the other line. It's like, holy cow, what am I doing?
Right.
At that point, it's just like, all right, I know what's happening. They're tearing us down mentally, because that's their job. And so I think once you realize that that is a drill sergeant's job, is to tear you down and build you back up stronger and better than you've ever felt in your life, up until that point, you're going to hate it. So the quicker that you can realize that the drill sergeant is doing it for a purpose and not just picking on you, then there's just a switch that clicks. Like, all right, I understand, drill sergeant. Yep, Roger. It's just and they know at that point. It's crazy how drill sergeants know at that point where you're at, they start bringing you back up. So they'll tear you all the way down to where you think you are just a miserable pile of garbage and you don't belong there. And then as soon as you hit that point, they just start bringing you back up. And so whenever they do that, so basic training is the part where they're tearing you down.
Mm-hmm.
AIT is where they're bringing you back up, because now you're learning about your job. It starts becoming fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
And for me, I got to blow shit up. Like how fun. Like,
so what was your MOS going in?
I'm a 12 Bravo, a combat engineer.
Combat engineer. Oh, hey,
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
So we did big demo. We did little demo, like breaching charges. We did shape charges, cratering charges, Bangalore torpedoes. I mean, like everything that goes boom, we played with it, man. Like it was, once we hit AIT, it's like, holy crap, I love my job. It's just so cool. But yeah, man.
So you go through basic, you finally realize what they're doing. You're okay, awesome, I get it. Let's continue. Let's get this shit done. Go into AIT, you start learning your job. You freaking love it because you get to blow shit up. And then all of a sudden, time for you to go to Iraq.
Yep.
What was that experience like? When you first got the orders, hey, you're going to Iraq, what was that first feeling you got?
So the unit that I was at, they were already deployed whenever I graduated basic training. So I pretty much already knew in a way that I might be going after I graduated basic. So I was kind of asking the drill sergeants and anybody I could that had been on a deployment, like, hey, what am I getting myself into? You know what I mean? And so whenever I got to my unit, kind of a crappy way to go overseas, but one of their soldiers got killed in action, and so they needed a replacement, and I'm fresh out of boot camp, and they sent me.
Okay.
So I was a replacement soldier for a fallen soldier, and his name is Specialist Wright.
Knowing that, what was that feeling like for you? Knowing that you were being sent because another soldier was KIA.
So, man, it like that hit hard. Like, it's like, all right, I'm not. This guy has been with them for the past couple of years. Like they've been in Iraq together. Like I'm just some nobody coming from basic training that has no idea who any of these guys are, or if they're going to respect me, or what I have to offer, because are they going to think that I'm replacing him when I know in my mind that I'm not going to be able to replace what kind of person he was? You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, man, it was hard. Like knowing that going overseas, that I was a replacement soldier for somebody that was killed in action.
See, if somebody were to tell me that, and this is me outside looking in, not only would I think that, like, how am I going to fit in with these guys who have worked with this guy, who have built a relationship with the guy, built a rapport, trust with their fallen brother? One, how am I going to interact with that? How am I going to integrate to that? And two, am I going to become like the soldier I'm replacing? Am I going to die out there?
Yeah. So that was another thing that was hitting in my mind pretty hard, man, was I'm replacing this dude that just got killed in action. Am I going to die now? That's something definitely that I was thinking about pretty hard.
How did you manage that when you got over there?
Whenever I got overseas to Iraq. So that's the story I was going to tell you about.
Yeah, let's go for it. You see how I kind of weaved our way into it?
Yeah, I got you. So, see if I can make this as much sense, but as short as possible.
Hey, you can take your time, man. You tell your story. It's your story.
So in 2005, I found out I was a replacement soldier, and we were supposed to be attached to the 228, which was the blood red bucket. And me as a PFC was sent by myself. So no other soldier that was attached to my unit went with me. So
because they were already there. Because they were already there.
They were already there.
Okay.
And so went through, the training phase in Camp Shelby, Mississippi, telling them where I'm going. They're like, "Yep, yep, we got you. We know where they're at. We're going to send you right to them whenever you get to Iraq. I'm like, awesome. I need a weapon. You'll get that whenever you get overseas. Okay. At PFC, okay.
Right. Yes, sir.
So, yep. They said, whenever you get overseas, you get your unit, you'll get your weapon. It's like, awesome. So went through Camp Shell, Mississippi, moved out of there, got to Kuwait, did a little more pre-training there. Still talking to, people, hey, this is my unit. I'm with the 135th Combat Engineers out of Lawrenceville, Illinois. A replacement soldier. They're like, yep, we know where they are. We'll send you straight to them. Sergeant or Private Stone, where's your weapon at? I don't have one. Why don't you have a weapon? Because my unit said that whenever I find my unit, they'll give me a weapon. Well, you're not going to be able to get into the chow hall. It's like, awesome. Yeah. Anytime you're in that period of time, anywhere you were at, you had to have a weapon before you could go into a chow hall.
Okay.
And
so they wouldn't let you eat unless you had a weapon on.
But they had like MREs, which is complete garbage. But for your listeners that have never seen an MRE, take whatever you can out of a dumpster and throw it into a sealed bag, and that's pretty much your MRE with about 3,000 calories.
Well, that's true. There's a lot of calories in it.
Yeah. So leave Kuwait, and I hit Taqadum, Iraq. So flew into Taqadum, Iraq. Get off the plane. So basically, to break this down, I never caught up to my unit. I was in country for 5 months and never caught my unit. So because my unit was bouncing around from place to place in Iraq, and I was trying to play catch up. Mm-hmm. And the fastest, if I would have had a weapon, I could have jumped on a convoy and caught him quicker. But since I didn't have a weapon, I had to fly everywhere. And since I had to fly everywhere, I had to get on what's called space available. And so that means I had to pack up all my gear, walk to the flight line, and say, hey, do you guys have any space available that can fly me to my next destination, which was Al-Assad, Anaconda, wherever, Balad, anywhere like that. And basically, they said, all right, sit here for about 5 hours and we'll tell you. I'd sit there for, 5 to 10 to 12 hours. And then sometimes even for them to be like, nope, pack your stuff up, go back to your B hut.
Wow.
And so, and I don't know if your listeners know this, but a soldier overseas, his gear, it's a lot. You have a lot of crap. And so bouncing around from place to place, finally ended up back in Taqadum, when I first started. And mind you, this entire time I didn't have a weapon, so I couldn't take a convoy anywhere. I couldn't eat in a chow hall, so I'm eating MREs this entire time. And we get back to Taqadum, and at this point, I'm feeling abandoned. I'm feeling alone. I'm a PFC. That's where the hell am I? Why am I even here? You know what I mean? So I'm on a bus. This Marine gets on the bus, asks for all our military IDs. I hand him my military ID. There's a captain outside waiting for me. So, again, PFC, there's a captain. Oh, I need to go out and fresh out of boot camp. I need to go out there and see that captain. Forgot that I gave this Marine my ID. So I go talk to the captain. The captain put me up for the night in one of the tents. The next morning I wake up. I go to the captain. I'm like, hey, sir, I need an MRE for breakfast. He's like, yeah, I got you. And then I said, I left my ID with that Marine. Is there any chance that I can get that ID back? And he said, I actually have it right here. He said, there are a lot of people looking for you. I'm like, really? He said, yeah, and they're actually here in Taqadum. I'm like, awesome. He's like, they're just a couple of tents down. So I go down to the tents, walk in, and the first person I see, I'm like, hey, Sergeant, where are you from? He's like, oh, you'd have no idea. It's a little town in Illinois. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, where's it at? He said, it's Oblong. I'm like, found my unit. And so finally found my unit after, 5 months of traveling around, just not doing anything besides sitting and eating an MRE. I can't go outside the wire because I don't have a weapon. Traveling from flight line to flight line, carrying all my shit. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
At that point, I just broke down, man. I'm like, holy crap. My mom's freaking out back home because, I can't find my unit. I'm not where I'm supposed to be, And finally, whenever I met him, man, I lost my shit. I really did. I was like, I finally found you guys. He's like, yeah, you did. And so he's like, well, go find First Sergeant, talk to him. So I went to the First Sergeant, started talking to him. Like, hey, First Sergeant, PFC Stone, ready to report. Where do you need me? What are we doing next? He said, well, we're going home tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And we went home the next day.
So your first deployment was being home alone.
Yeah. Yep. So
wow.
add abandonment issues from dad, and now abandonment issues from deployment 1. Get back to my unit. They say, all right, we're changing MOSs. Sent me to another unit. Abandonment issue there. Went to another unit in Decatur, Illinois.
What was your second MOS?
I didn't have a second MOS. I didn't change MOSs. So
okay.
They had to send me to another unit because I didn't want to change my MOS.
Right.
And so they became heavy machine operators and mechanics, whereas I still wanted to stay a combat engineer.
Okay.
And so they had to send me to a different unit. So there's that.
Wow. I didn't even know that kind of thing happened.
Oh yeah, man.
I didn't know that kind of thing happened.
I was literally a Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. Kind of. Right?
In a way.
In a way, you weren't actually, you were in a combat zone, but you weren't on the other side of the wire where people are looking for you.
Not on that deployment, no.
That's insane. If I were to have experienced that, I probably would have lost some, not only respect, but some confidence in the people and in what I was doing. Am I sure I really want to continue being a part of this when they can't even get their shit enough together to get me to where I'm supposed to be? What did, man, I don't even know where to go from. What was your mindset after that?
So after that, I was ready to get out. I was done. I was going to do my 5 and get out.
Okay.
But after that deployment, then I went to my new unit.
Mm-hmm.
And, for a year there, we did training, regular drill training stuff. And then the second year I was there, they were like, all right, we're on the road to war. I'm like, great. I'm like, I am getting out. So our first sergeant there at that unit said, hey, Stone, do you want to, he took volunteers because it was just a small cell is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 15 of us from this unit that were going to go. And he was taking volunteers, and my first sergeant coming up to me, he's like, hey, Stone, do you want to get deployed to Afghanistan? I said, nope, and hell no. I'm done. I am getting the hell out.
Mm-hmm.
And so during this, the couple drills later, my first sergeant comes back up to me, and he says, you don't have a choice. You're going. Great. So, which in a point, it was kind of okay. The unit I was at, I was kind of starting to get over the abandonment issues, if you will, because they were a great unit. I couldn't ask for a better unit. And so we were on our road to war, man, in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So get back from Iraq in 2006, fixing to go to Afghanistan in 2008. So, we're prepping, we're getting everything ready. And we go to Afghanistan. And we are part of the EHIC. So it's an explosive hazards coordination cell. So it was kind of an awesome ordeal, man. So we get to Afghanistan. They kind of split us all up in our own little groups. I was actually part of the Mine Action Center. So it's a joint coalition force. My boss was an Australian major.
Oh, wow.
So they had Marine. We had a Marine gunny, an Air Force captain, an E7 sergeant, 2 specialists, which was including myself, and then an Australian major, doing basically the mine clearing operations in Afghanistan. So that was our job there.
All right. And what did that entail? How long were you there?
So I was in Afghanistan for 9 months.
And your job was to disarm and clear mines and IEDs, or how did that work?
Landmines.
Just landmines.
Yeah. Yep. So we would bounce around from base to base. Like, there's one thing, a pretty big project that we were working on that I am
not at liberty to talk about. That's fine.
Yeah. And so that one was outside the wire.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like a lot of security, a lot of shots fired, a lot of, while you're trying to clear a minefield. like it gets pretty iffy.
Got pretty dicey from time to time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then
so you did see, I'm sorry.
There were poppy fields right next to us. And like, for the listeners, they are very, very, very protective of their poppy fields.
Well, yeah.
That is like their number one income.
Yeah. I mean, heroin. Duh.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I could see why. So you did see active theater. You saw active war.
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to explain the mission or anything, because you can't. But during that point in time, other than what happened when your first deployment, during this deployment, did that strengthen the whole I need to get the fuck out? Or was it like, maybe I should stay?
It did, because while I was over there, I actually re-enlisted for 6 more years. So
it actually strengthened the idea for you to stay.
Yes.
How and or what happened for you to change your mind?
So whenever I got over there, just the scene, and like I said, the good group of people I was with, man, I didn't have, fresh out of basic training, I didn't see what kind of cohesion a unit can have together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I just, from basic training to Iraq to Afghanistan, you know what I mean? Within boom, 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 boom. So I never really seen what kind of like brotherly and sisterly attachment that a unit could have in a combat zone. And then once I got to Afghanistan, I seen it. Like, like just how we'd all joke. We'd do stupid shit, like I'm taking down a mine fence and I'm skipping around this mine fence while there's an active minefield behind me. Like, it was just stupid stuff. You know what I mean? We're just laughing, having a good time. And we would sit in the Humvee and take bets on like, what goat or camel was going to get it first as they were walking through a minefield. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just, and just the cohesion that we all had together, that changed my mind.
It was the brotherhood and sisterhood is what changed your mind to stay.
100%. Yep. Because again, coming from drugs and trying to find new friends, abandonment from Iraq, and then finally in Afghanistan, I found what I was looking for. Was that kind of friendship that, the person next to me, I'd take a bullet for and they'd do it for me. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
That was what I was looking for.
So when you signed up for this extra 6 years, did you get ever redeployed after this first time in Afghanistan?
No. So after Afghanistan, didn't have any other deployments after that, except for the COVID mission. That was stateside. Yep.
Well, man, so you did 10 years, right? 10 years or 11?
For military?
Yeah. Like active duty.
Oh, so active duty right now, it's only 5 months in Iraq, 9 months in Afghanistan, and then a 3 month stint for the COVID thing. But every time you were like at annual training or anything like that, so that accumulates towards your active duty. So I'm only sitting at like 4 years active duty right now.
Oh, and so you signed the 6-year reserve.
Yeah, National Guard. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. See, I'm just trying to clear up everything so that way our listeners can follow.
Yep. So my entire career so far, my 18 years, I've been in the Army National Guard.
So you've been reserve.
Yeah.
The entire time.
Well, National Guard.
National Guard. Yeah, they are two different things. That's true. It's interesting to hear because Army National Guard, Army, I think, and for me, I'm ignorant to that, right? Because for me, all I know is reserves. My family is all Navy and Marine, and they are all Navy Reserve, right? Mm-hmm. After their, my dad, he was career all the way through, but like my stepmother's reserve, so she went once a month for training, and if she ever got deployed, she got deployed and stuff like that. But it's different. So can you explain to me how National Guard works exactly instead of reserve?
So National Guard, man, they're National Guard and reserves pretty much on the same kind of front. Okay. But National Guard is national defense, not deployable defense, whereas reserve is if we got into another world war, and say we lost 100 people on the front line and didn't have anybody else that was active duty to replace them, then we would take our reserve and dump them in that position instead of the National Guard, because National Guard is national defense, not global defense, if you will.
Got you. So if anything were to happen stateside, you're being deployed stateside.
Exactly.
Got it. And so your extra 6 years was National Guard, not necessarily active Army or reserve. Correct. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
That makes a little bit more sense. More sense. During this time, man, during your tenure, and you're still active with the Army National Guard.
Yeah.
Was there any point in time, or has there been any point in time during your service and your, theater that you've seen and the deployment that you've been on, was there any point in time where you thought this is a little bit more than what I asked for?
Oh yeah. So probably the hardest thing that really, it was close to the end of my deployment in Afghanistan, and I'm so thankful I didn't have kids then. But so being in the Mine Action Center, you always had like people come, like local nationals, try to bring you stuff, and you have to tell them to put it down because they would just try to bring it to you, and it would be like a landmine or a crock pot or something like that could easily blow up. You know what I mean? So it's like, whoa, back up, like drop it. And so I think there was this one point where these 4 kids all came up and they were playing with this anti-tank mine. And so for your listeners, an anti-tank mine has a couple plates in it. And once a tank rolls over it, it pushes, you make the connection, and then it goes boom. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much what it is. But these land mines have been there since the Russians were there. And so they've been sitting out in the weather. So those plates would get really light, whereas it would take 350 pounds of pressure to push that plate down. Now it only takes like 5.
Oh, wow.
And so anti-tank mines are meant to take out a tank. So for your listeners, that kind of gives you an idea of how much explosives is packed into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So these little kids, one of them come up to me, Mister, I had to tell him, no, back up, get away.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back to my truck to report it, and they were all still playing with it. One of the kids dropped it. It went off. So as I was sitting in the Humvee, and it's still crazy because it sucks because I couldn't run out to him because we haven't cleared that part of the minefield yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only thing I could do was listen and watch. And I still have nightmares up to this day of kids screaming for their lives and crying. And like, that is probably the worst thing that I've ever seen while I was over there. And it was right before I was coming home. Like, we're talking 3 weeks, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's knowing that there is nothing I can do for them, just listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
It was, there was nothing I could do.
I can't even imagine. The closest thing that I could even try to relate to is, having a kid in a car accident or trying to get a kid to safety, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would do to the psyche.
Oh man,
knowing that I have kids now, but
yeah,
like you said, you even made the statement, thank God I didn't have kids then, which tells me you know how much it could have destroyed you.
Oh yeah.
Had you had kids at that point in time.
Yeah. I would have ran out there anyway.
Right. Exactly.
If I would have ran. Just to help them.
Knowing obviously your unit is aware of what happened after the situation and everything. What kind of help and or what kind of process happened for you after that incident? So,
I mean, it was really, we didn't have time, man. Like, I was pretty much suck it up, buttercup, we're going home. Like, it was, I mean, we did like a short little mental brief, and then for me, it was like, I'm good. I'm dealing with it. I've seen worse, blah, 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 which I hadn't. That was the worst thing I've ever seen. And so, we go to our demo, we do another psych eval there. It's just, I'm fine. You're so excited to just get the fuck back home. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to bother with any of this shit. I just want to go home.
Right.
Like, after what I've seen, I just want to go home. You know what I mean? So that was my mentality at that time. Like, I am so close to home. I'm not going to screw this up because they're going to keep me in a freaking mental hospital. These are just things that are rattling through my head, like they're going to lock me up. They're going to put me, like I'm going to have to go to these damn classes all the time. And all I want to do is sit at home and enjoy my life.
Right.
Like, that's all I want to do at this point right now. Looking back, I wish I would have got the help.
Do you think it's pretty easy for a soldier, Marine, anybody that's deployed really to come back and kind of fib their way through that process?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, basically it's just a piece of paper that has like notes on it. Are you okay? Are you thinking about this? No. It's just a check yes or no box. At that point it was.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for what it is now.
Right.
But at that point, it was check yes, check no.
Okay.
Are you thinking about harming yourself? Did you see anything that was, mentally disturbing? And for me, I just checked them all no, man, because I wanted to get home. You know what I mean? I was so close to getting home at that point in time. Like, that's all I wanted to do. That's all I was thinking about.
So, like, I'm listening to this, right? I'm hearing this, and it's not uncommon, right? I get it. I understand your thought process on it. Do you think at the time, had they pushed the significance and the importance of having your mental health be stable before you went home, do you think if they were able to push that a little bit stronger, maybe you would have had at least a brief moment of, maybe I do need to take care of this before I go home, before I start seeing the family and everything else?
I honestly think if they had somebody, instead of giving us a piece of paper to do our own psych eval, I think if they had somebody there to, like, person to person, would have definitely changed my mind.
Well, for me, it's not even that. I think had they been able to say, hey, look, it's okay to be honest, even with this piece of paper, right? You have this piece of paper. had they pushed the importance of you being honest with it, I think, or the importance of your mental health when you come back home and you're going to start being back in that civilian life again, have they pushed that importance in what could happen if you don't? Even if it was still a piece of paper today, which we don't know, it still could be. But even if they did, had they pushed the importance of that, maybe it would have pushed you to be a little bit more forthcoming with what you went through. You know, like, hey, I know I just want to get home, but this kind of messed me up. I know they're telling me to answer these questions honestly. You know what? So I'm going to answer them honestly because I know the importance. Now, back then, it doesn't sound like it is important, to be honest.
Yeah, so it is 100% important.
When you got back home, did you notice any change in your behavior with all that, or how you were interacting with friends, family?
But for me, I knew I was going to have nightmares, man. Like, I knew it. So I kind of just put it in the back thought, you know what I mean? So the thing that really got to me whenever I got back home was I lost that camaraderie. You know what I mean? Like, I had friends that were here, you know, in the same state, but they're like 5, 6, 7 hours away from, you know, where my unit is. And my unit at that time was 3 hours from where I was living, you know? So, just that, having that, and then coming back home and not having that, that is what really messed me up, man. Like, it just, the way that everything just changed like that. It's like, all right, you're home, time to get back to work. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh crap, here we go. And then just walking around and like looking at people in a different kind of perspective. Like, in it, like every time I looked at somebody that was like having a bad day and their day wasn't even that bad, just look at them and be like, you have no fucking idea. You know what I mean? Like you have no idea what a bad day is. You know what I mean? Like, just that was my mentality whenever I came back.
I mean, would you say that you can look back at it now and say maybe they didn't have the same experiences, so maybe that bad day was bad to them?
Now I do. Looking back,
it's hard for us when we go through certain things in our lives to have sympathy for other people's bad days. When we do the dick measuring contest and say, you have no idea how bad life can be because you didn't do this or that or that or this, and I went through this and this and this and this. And it's like, well, yeah, you went through this, this, and this because you were in the situation that put you there.
Yeah.
I'm not in that situation, so my stresses and my bad days are going to be completely different than yours. So how can you say that I'm not having a bad day just because I didn't have your experiences?
You're exactly right, man.
It's a little unfair. It's a little unfair.
Yeah.
But it's a natural human thing to do, right? We do it because it's just natural for us to do. We want to put purpose to what we went through, and we don't want that purpose to be diminished by somebody else's idea of a bad day when we feel like the purpose of my struggle and my tragedy and what I went through, don't diminish my purpose with your bullshit bad day.
Right.
Because my bad day was way worse. Well, that's not fair. Yeah. It's not really fair in the long run.
Yeah.
But
whenever at that point, man, like it was just, you know, you're as a soldier coming back, you are at that point where you're just like, what? Why are you complaining? You know what I mean? It's just the mentality that we have at that point. And then, you know, a couple of years down the line, we're like, maybe that person was having a bad day. Maybe they had to file for bankruptcy or something, you know, like, but at that point, we don't think about what the civilian life is like. We are thinking about what the military life is like. Like, we don't have to worry about that stuff while we were over there.
No, you don't. Do you think coming back, your empathy kind of get screwed up?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is this bad thing happened to you. I feel bad for you. I'm sorry you're going through that. Yeah, that really sucks. I'm sympathetic. Empathy is like, you know what? I've been through something very similar. I'm feeling what you're feeling right now. Man, that really sucks. Like,
yeah.
And I think people within the civil service realm, our empathy takes a really hard hit when dealing with our friends, our family, and civilian life, because our empathy has to be shut off at times just to do the job, right? We have to shut off that empathy. We have to fight that empathy. You had to fight that empathy of hearing this kid screaming for help. Your empathy's there because you know what that must be like. You know this, how scared they are, and you want to do, but you had to fight your empathy to do the job. It's the same thing within first responder. You know, we can't always just run in and save the day. Like, we can't. We have to think about the mission or the main goal, and one, not hurting ourselves or a brother or sister or somebody else. So it's, you know, I've said this before in a few of my podcasts. It was a TikTok video, believe it or not, where this woman said, you know, people in civil service, first responders, were selective psychopaths because we learned how to turn off our empathy. And the issue is sometimes when we come back home, be it military or first responder, when we come back home, we forget to turn that empathy switch back on. So when we get home, somebody's having a bad day or they have a problem. It's like, you have a problem, fucking fix it. Get over it. You know? Exactly. Right. So, and don't give me this bullshit. You have a problem, fucking fix it. If you want me to fix it, I'll fix it real quick. You know, like the laundry's not done. Oh, I don't care. The fucking laundry's not done. Are you kidding me right now? You're stressing over the laundry being done? Really? Really? That's what's going to ruin your day. But it's this idea that turning that switch back on and off, right? We sometimes forget to turn it back on. Thing is we should have never shut it off to begin with. Maybe dim it a little bit, but not shut it off.
100%.
What avenues and what did you do to start helping yourself through that kind of thought process?
So as soon as I got back, this is where the dark part of my life gets. So whenever I get back from Afghanistan, you know, I start my job again. I, you know, still haven't flipped the switch on. I don't give a shit about anything, anybody. And there was one incident that happened that just kept the switch off. Like, it did not come back on. And that was, there was somebody that I truly cared about and loved with a passion, which was an ex of mine. But she was like the first love I ever had, if you will.
Right.
Like, true. But I messed it up because alcohol. But she died on a 4-wheeler accident, like, I don't know, month and a half after I got back. And so that was like, all right, switches off, duct tape. You know, this shit's staying off. And man, whenever that happened, I just started pounding the bottle. I didn't give a shit about life anymore. I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I'm ready to go freaking, you know, start a barrel. Like, you know, I'm done. I'm over it. And my parents actually started catching on to this and was like, you need to go talk to your Aunt Angie, which my Angie's a awesome human being, just period. Most beautiful minded person I've ever met in my life. And so I went and talked to my aunt. She's like, what's going on, David? What do you want to do? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, what makes you happy? She's like, quit feeling sorry for yourself. Quit doing this shit. What's wrong with you? So I broke down and told her the story. I don't care. You know, I'm over it. She's like, well, think about the people that you're going to be hurting. You're going to hurt me. You're going to hurt your mom. You're going to hurt your dad. You're going to hurt your brother. Like, look, think about everybody that you're going to hurt. find something that you love and something that you're passionate about and go for it. So what is it? I said, well, I'd really like to get back into music again. She said, then do it. Start getting back into music. So I did. I started picking up the guitar again, playing it more. Then another point in my life, which really changed, was when I met my wife. I found that there are actually decent human beings in the world. And I met her, and my life changed, man. Like for the better.
Your aunt gave you one of the best pieces of advice, I think, that could be given to anybody struggling. And that is to find something for you.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And I don't think people realize what that means enough. I don't think they give it the importance that it truly has. You went through another tragedy coming home, and that is losing somebody that you truly cared about to a freak accident. And you had such, at the time, you had such connection. You connected your happiness. You connected your willing to live. You connected your just being healthy to this tragedy that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And once she was gone, those things that you connected everything to took a hit. Mm-hmm. Your happiness took a hit. Your health took a hit. Your sanity took a hit on top of everything else that you've already experienced in your life. And we forget as human beings that tragedy is going to happen. Life is going to happen. It's going to happen. How it happens, when it happens, God forbid it ever does happen, we need to find a way to realize that whatever happens to us or around us does not define us. And it shouldn't define us. But it's really hard to say that it's not going to define you when somebody you love loses their life.
Yep.
It's going to hurt. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it shouldn't hurt. It's going to hurt like hell. Yep. Will you go through a small depressive period or a short depressive period? Absolutely you are. But finding that peace within yourself for yourself, that's the most healthy thing you can do.
Yep.
What do we say in the fire department? We say this in the fire department all the time when we lose a fellow brother or sister via line of duty or something, right? We always say, we got it from here, right? The best way to honor their memory is to continue doing the job to the best of our ability and to the best of their ability, that they were still there, right? Like we are going to show you that your life was not in vain. We're going to continue doing this job that you loved to the utmost best to show you the respect and honor that you deserve.
Yep.
That same mindset needs to go into our everyday lives. We lose someone we love. We are going to continue living life in the way that you deserve for us to be living this life, to the best of my ability, to show you that life right now, even though you're not here anymore, does not mean it's going to be forever hurt.
Yep.
I'm going to make my life the best it can be in memory of you as well.
Yep.
It's the same concept that we have for our fallen brothers and sisters in the military or in the first responder. We just apply it to life. And if you can apply it to life, you'll be able to go through your grieving process, because it's still going to hurt, but you'll be able to find a way to find yourself again, to continue moving forward. We have to remember that the one thing I agree with and don't agree with what your aunt said is think about all the people you're going to be hurting. Yes, that does have to, it has to be a thought process. I get that. But that does not need to be the deciding factor. That can't be the deciding factor. Right. And the reason why I say that is because people are fleeting. They're human. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to piss you off no matter how close you are to them and how much you love them. They're going to, people disappoint. how we get through that disappointment is how much we care about them, how much we want to work on that relationship and everything else, right? It's going to happen. You have to find what, and this is where you have to find what it is for you.
Mm-hmm.
For you. Because once you're the best version of yourself, you can give that version of yourself to everyone around you.
Yep.
You get back into music and it starts pulling you out of the hole again.
Yep. So at this point, I mean, I'm not really doing anything with the music yet, like recording or anything. I'm just, fiddling around on the guitar. I mean, I'm, a year later, I married Brittany. I'm not really gotten into the music yet, like the music scene yet.
Was playing music and everything, was that something that allowed you to start looking for someone else, or that opened you up to the idea?
Yes. Yep. So for me, once I started putting my passion, so it's so funny because anytime, like my wife could tell you, anytime I pick up that guitar, it's either I'm sad or I'm mad or I'm trying to figure something out or I'm thinking about something, or, it's just how I use my emotions is I pick up a guitar and I just start fiddling around on it, because that, like, all my guitars have so much of my emotion dumped into them. It's ridiculous, because that's, the only part of me that, that's how I cope. And so that is my escape from whatever I'm feeling. And then, that's.
I'm letting you keep going, man.
No. So after, me and Brittany got married, we had our boys. So I started getting really passionate about music, kid you not, last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've only been in music for like the industry since last year. We'll just say November 11th. But before then, probably 3-4 years, I actually started doing shows at like gigs and stuff like that, but never really jumped into the music industry. What made me jump into the music industry was a fellow soldier real close to home that I went to school with, took his own life. And so I was actually started writing music before he did this, and I was writing Bury These Burdens. And whenever he did that is whenever something in me just clicked, and I said, I need to do something with the song. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to put it out, because this message needs to be told that it is not like our soldiers need help. And so I became a strong advocate about suicide prevention and awareness. And like from that moment on.
Do you think, because you said you had a point in time where you had ideations, right? After your girlfriend at the time passed away. A lot of people think that having PTSD or these type of ideas come from combat alone. And you went through an experience that wouldn't surprise me if you had those type of ideas, because of what you had to endure, the screams of the kids, seeing the carnage of what happened. But what pushed you over the edge was what happened to a loved one. And what I want people to realize is it's not always combat. It's after. It's after. It's the struggle of.
It's the snowball after the fact.
Right. I mean, you're depressed now because you don't have that brotherhood and sisterhood that you had. You just lost a loved one and you're lost. You're like, what the fuck am I doing? Right. And it's this thing that tears us down. And for you, the thing that pushed you over like the real edge was losing your loved one. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the combat. It wasn't what you saw. It wasn't just, losing that brotherhood, which I would understand if those things pushed you to that edge, but it was something that happened in your civilian life when you were outside that pushed you over the edge. Now, I want people to understand that PTSD and having traumatic moments and things that will push you over the edge don't always necessarily come from the job. My point being is it was our human experience, not the job experience, that sometimes pushes us to that edge. And people need to realize that we're human beings first.
Yep.
We're not just soldiers. We're not just firefighters, not just cops, EMTs or nurses or security guards or prison guards or anything like that. We're human beings first before we ever put on the uniform, while we're in the uniform, and after we take it off. We will always be human beings. And these emotions, these things that happen to us are going to affect us.
Yep.
You decided to put this song out because you saw a fellow brother take his own life. What was it about this song that you thought would be a good message to maybe help others?
Just, oh man, the whole song itself, just knowing that you're not alone, because a lot of, he thought that he was alone, and he's not alone. And just facing your demons, you don't have to do that alone. It's, you know, you don't have to do everything alone anymore. Like, there is still the brotherhood that you had while you were overseas here in the States. You just have to search for it. Like, work for it. Like, I'm here. I am right here. And I tell all my soldiers that I am right here. And I will drive 6, 8, 10, 12 hours away, however far. If you need somebody, I'm there. I tell everybody that. I don't care. I will be there. There is always somebody that you can talk to. And talking about it doesn't make you any less of a man or a woman. It shows that you are actually strong enough to admit that you have a problem. And that, to me, shows more strength than anything.
It goes to that idea that we can't talk about it openly and honestly because it shows weakness, right? And I completely disagree with that. For me, not openly talking about what's going on and letting people know where you're at is you're falling in line. You're doing what everybody else thinks you should be doing. And when you do what everybody else thinks you should be doing, are you really being that strong? You're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. Usually the strong ones are the ones that go above and beyond or do the incredible thing of breaking that line, breaking the stigma, doing more than what everybody else is doing. And to do more than what everybody else is doing means to open up and allow yourself to be, I hate the term vulnerable, but it is vulnerable in this day and age to say, hey, there's something going on upstairs and I need help. Nobody wants to admit they need help. And I think it's a very strong thing to say, I need help. You know, and I think you having this idea of putting the song out there to, in hopes, allow people to know, hey, it's okay. Like, it's okay to not be okay. Just don't stay there because you have people that are going to allow you to not stay there. Talk to us. We're here. Is this kind of like your mission with your music on what you want to do with it? Are you trying to push this idea with your music that, hey, I want to make a difference? Because a lot of people, they do music. Everybody has their reasonings behind it, right? Some people want to get famous. Some people just like putting a good beat to stuff. Other people have purpose behind their music because they want to have a message be put out there. They want to have a message be told. Is which kind of genre or line do you think you're going with? So
I have a few songs out now, but Bury These Burdens was a message. And I actually did an interview for the Illinois National Guard. And with that song, I do not want to become famous because of that song. That's not the point of that song. Not at all the point of that song. If anybody thinks that that's what the point of that song is, then they need help. Because that is not the point of that song. I didn't care if that thing got 5 million views. As long as it helped one person, I'm happy. If it helps thousands, I'm even more happy. If it helps somebody, that's what I wanted for that song.
All right. Are you planning on writing more songs with that kind of message or with that kind of purpose?
I'm actually, a lot of people don't think about, like, because you have what's called a PCS move. So it's like where soldiers go from one base to another on active duty, right? A lot of people don't think about what the children go through in that time. because as soon as they leave, they're leaving friends behind, they're leaving family behind, they're leaving, soccer games that they used to play with their friends, stuff like that. And so I'm actually working on a song right now that has focus on that too. Like, hey, don't, like, our soldiers are great, they need help too, but there's also the families. You know what I mean? The families are the ones that are struggling as well. What happens if, this woman's husband gets killed in action? Now she's in the position where, she's going to need help. So are their children, So I'm working on a song right now that pushes towards that.
So again, tell me what it is. What is it? What's your purpose for your music? Or what do you feel like your purpose for your music is? Obviously you do it for yourself because it's a release for you. It's something that you are passionate about, but
I'm hoping
you're
that
now doing it for more than just you as well.
Yep. So the songs that I put out, I do have a couple that, is for me. It was just, all right, I'm not the serious, sad type, that just focuses on this. I actually do have a fun life too. You know what I mean? So I put out a couple other songs that show that side of me as well. My main focus is kind of like a balance where it's for me, but it's also, I'll put out songs that are for the people that need it most. You know what I mean? It's not all just about me. I don't want it to be all about me. I want people to focus on other things outside of what my music says.
I like that answer. The balance. I like that you're looking for a balance with it. You're not looking for just your release, but you're also wanting to help others at the same time. And that's honest. That's honest. You're saying, yeah, some of my music is for me and I'm sharing my story, but at the same time, I'm writing and performing things and creating things to hopefully not only help myself, but help others.
Yep.
And that's an honest answer, right? And I respect that. I think you're going to do well. I really do. I think you're going to be able to do both. I've seen you perform. I've heard your songs. I see the kind of passion you have behind it when you're on stage. And even just warming up, we couldn't get you to shut up. We couldn't get you to
quit singing.
Quit singing, but it was, you can tell it was something that was like, this is outside looking in. I can tell it was something that you were doing for you. And you were passionate about it and you couldn't wait to share what you were going to do with others. And it was awesome to see that kind of want behind what you were doing. And I really do think you're going to do great things with your music, man. I really do. And obviously I'm going to help push it as much as I can. I'm going to help you and Mohawk Music Family, and I'm going to help all of you as much as I can. And getting what you guys do out there. I'm going to switch topics a little bit. We're going to go back to what it is that helps you. And the music, obviously, we covered. Have you thought, or have you ever actually talked about or thought about talking to a professional for your PTSD and these nightmares that you may be having? Or that you are having, excuse me.
Honestly, man, I haven't had a nightmare in so long. I haven't had any thoughts about anything, taking my own life. I mean, right now, the thing that I think has brought and grounded me is my wife and my kids.
And completely respect. And it makes sense.
And I've talked about it too, enough. Like I talk to people all the time about it. I am an open book. I talk to everybody about it. Even whenever I'm on my lives, man, like I'll talk about it to people.
I guess what I'm concerned with is, God forbid, anything were to happen in your relationship, right? Where you don't have her to ground you. What are you going to do for you to make sure that doesn't break you?
As in my music, man. I bury it in music. I honestly do.
But that's my point. You're saying you bury it in music. Burying it doesn't. It's still going to be there. Something can dig it back up. A trigger can dig it back up. Something can put it in front of your face at an unwanted time. So I guess, and if it works for you, great. So your music is what I would call a very good Band-Aid, right? It's a very damn good Band-Aid. It allows you to process in a way that some can't. However, actually working through the emotions and everything that get brought up when you do think about it, or when you do have a nightmare, or, you know, there might be times where your wife's not going to be available, or, like I said, God forbid something were to happen within the relationship, or, you know, there might be a point in time where you're going to have to deal with it on your own. Yeah. And without sounding like a dick, it's not really fair to put that burden on your wife or your kids.
No. So I'll give you an example of a traumatic thing that happened when Bobby passed last year. Yeah, last year. So my best friend, he's like the person that you could always count on. He always, whenever he was a kid, he had a lot of medical problems, and he passed away. That hurt, man. That, like, I had not had to deal with anything like that for a long time. I thought my life was great, you know, everything was going good. And then all of a sudden, just one day I was at work. This was last year. Mm-hmm. And he passed away, man. And that was something that right there, whenever that happened, because I could talk to Bobby about everything, mm-hmm. and he wouldn't judge me. He'd always be there and help me. You know, he was the one that I could always run to, and I lost it. And whenever that happened, I was afraid of the situation that you're talking about. Whenever that happened, I knew that I was in a grounded place because I didn't have any flashback. I didn't have any thoughts of, you know, my life is over. You know, I didn't have, I knew after that, it was like he told me without telling me that you're going to be all right, man.
Would you attribute that to being in the position you're in with your wife and your kids? Maybe, like if one of them were to pass, or no. You going through that situation with your friend because you had your wife and your kids, it made it a little bit easier to cope with. Just
everyone in general that knows me and that I've talked to. Mm-hmm. I mean, they would always ask me. Every single one of them, like, "How you doing? You okay?" You know. And surprisingly, I was great. I mean, it sucks that my best friend died, mm-hmm. but I know why they were asking me, and I know what they were trying to get. But you know, I was fine. You know, it was an emotional break, but a part of me knew that it wasn't my fault. You know, it wasn't something that I could control. It wasn't, you know, something that was going to ditch me back into drugs or anything like that again. It wasn't anything that was going to put me in a depression again. So that's, after that happened, like, I was not sure about where my mentality was until he passed away. And then I knew that my mindset was strong because I didn't have any thoughts about anything except for the loss of my friend. I mourned my friend, you know, and then, you know, I'm still trying to get over it to this day, but that's just the mourning him, not, you know, something that I can't control or can control. You know what I mean? So that at that point, I knew that I am okay.
And I'm not saying you're not okay. Don't get me wrong. When I say talking to a professional doesn't necessarily mean that you're not okay. Mm-hmm. Talking to a professional, all it does is it allows you and exposes you to ideas and perceptions and tools that allow you to work through certain processes a little bit when things happen a little bit better, more awareness, so to speak.
I think now for soldiers coming back, that is something that they need to do, is talk to a professional. But since 08, 09, how many years has that been now? You know what I mean? Like, I've found my way and my peace on how to get over it. You know what I mean? Like, I have found my own way. Soldiers can do that. There are some that can't.
Right. There are some that can't find their way through it, and you have found a way through it. I'm not trying to say that the way you did it is wrong in any way, shape, or form. As long as you're healthy, as long as you're healthy and your mind's right and you're good, then that's what matters, right? That's what matters.
Yeah.
I just don't want people to be turned off by the idea of talking to someone, even when you feel like you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because even I personally think, even if you haven't experienced a bunch of tragedy in your life, you haven't experienced depression, you haven't experienced anxiety, you don't have PTSD, your life is actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. I think talking to a professional therapist about life and about thought processes and stuff like that can be very beneficial for anybody. You don't have to have something wrong with you to get a different perspective on life and how to look at certain issues and things that come up. Mm-hmm. Do they help people that have issues and things a little bit more than maybe somebody that doesn't have to deal with all those things? Sure, absolutely. Yeah. But it also helps the individual that hasn't had to deal with them. God forbid they were to, they now know, hey, I remember hearing about this. I remember reading about this. I remember talking to somebody about this. Let me put those plays into action and see how I can cope with this.
Yeah.
So,
and not by any means am I telling soldiers to do it by themselves.
Right.
Don't do it, because it has been a hard road. It really has for me.
Do you think
I'm not telling soldiers to do it on their own? Don't get help.
Do you think
that's what that song's about?
Do you think had you gone to get help, you probably would have been a little bit better, a little bit quicker?
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Well, man, David, brother, I really do appreciate you giving us your point of view on it and your experiences through everything. I understand, and I'm not ignorant to the fact that even reliving about them, thinking about them, those pictures jump back into your head.
My hands are sore as shit right now.
Yeah, those pictures jump back into your head. The mind is a really fucked up thing. When we go through a tragedy or something that hit us really hard emotionally, when we start thinking about it, we start talking about it, our mind puts our body back in that state. It releases the same chemicals of when it happened, and our bodies start tensing up, our minds start getting anxious, and our mind's really fucked up. Even though it's not happening, we're just talking about it. Yeah. Your mind puts your body back into that state. So I understand how taxing it can be on somebody reliving and telling those stories. Mm-hmm. But I really do appreciate the fact that you did and how you got through it. Your music is an amazing thing. And I truly believe that it's going to do more than what you think it's doing. It's helping you, but I truly believe it's going to help more people than you realize. And
that's all I want.
Your story and your passion is going to make a difference for more than just yourself. I really, truly believe that. And I want to help you get through all that and get that message out there and everything else. So, but in saying all that, we're going to move on to something a little bit lighter. Again, thank you. Social media, bro. What the hell got you, a 30-something-year-old man, to start social media?
Okay. So, honestly, my producer. So, this was in November, whenever I released Bury These Burdens. So, I released Bury These Burdens on November 11th, so Veterans Day of last year. And I'm talking to my producer. You know, at this point, I only had a Facebook. And so, and even then, like, the only thing I ever did on Facebook was post a show or two and get on Marketplace. And like a 30-some-year-old would, you know? And, but so I was talking to my producer and I'm like, hey man, the song's not getting any traction. It's not doing anything. He's like, well, do you have Instagram? I knew what Instagram was. And I said, no, I don't have an Instagram. He said, get an Instagram. He's like, do you have a TikTok? I was like, what's a TikTok? Like, I had no idea what TikTok was.
What's a TikTok?
I was like, what's a TikTok? And he's like, it's another social media platform. He's like, you need to get it. A lot of musicians are getting a TikTok and, you know, their music does really well. I'm like, all right. So I downloaded TikTok and just started going on the live streams. Everybody that was doing a live stream that was playing music in the background, I was like, hey, why don't you give this song a listen? Not telling them I'm the artist. I just put the song out there. And then they put the song and then they do one of these takes. They're like, you're the singer of this song. I'm like, yeah, I'm the singer of this song. They're like, this is good. And so like, that's kind of how I started building my TikTok. And then, you know, I've met you, I met a lot of great people on there. Sir Veteran Guy, you know, everybody like, and they've just become family to me now.
So you started your social media for promoting purposes, marketing purposes.
Yeah. Yep. I had no idea the friendship and camaraderie I would make off of a social media app either. Like no clue.
Obviously you're continuing it for your marketing and to get your music out and everything.
Yep.
Have you done any of the trend videos or have you done anything else other than just your music?
I've done a couple of them.
Why?
I don't know. I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. And then I just did it. Okay. So the reason why I do it is because like, I want people to see me as me. Mm-hmm. Again, like the balance type thing, you know, it's not always about music. I have fun and like, I'm a human being, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like, I'm not the kind of artist. I have seen plenty of artists on TikTok. Like they'll, you know, all they do is music. And they want people to come to their lives, but they never go in anybody else's lives. Like their followers, their fans, their friends, they never go into their lives. So it's like, why? I want people to know that I care just as much about them as they do my music. So I get on their lives. I hang out with them. You know, even if they only have, you know, they just crossed 1,000 followers, you know, and they're just now for their very first live. I notice it. So I'm going to jump in their live. You know what I mean?
Right.
They've been following me from day one. Why am I not going to show support for them trying to make a success or whatever they're trying to do on TikTok? You know, like I said, I try to keep a balance as much as I can. I try to keep my life and my music balanced. That way, because people that focus too much on music forget about life. You know what I mean? Like they don't spend time with their family, their kids. They don't, you know, like there is a balance. And I try to focus on that as much as I can.
I think that your next album should be called Balance. Balance. Or looking for balance or practice, something to that effect, because I really do truly feel that that's what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. You're showing them who you are, but also showing them your passion. It's not all your passion. Yeah. It's a little bit about who you are as well. And be honest with you, I was giving you shit. I'm the same way, right?
Yeah.
My passion is pushing the message of not allowing the stigma that is talking about our mental health openly. I'm trying to break that. And I do that a lot with my content, but at the same time, I'll do a trend. I'll do a thirst trap. There's nothing to be thirsty about. There's nothing to be thirsty about a bald-headed 36-year-old. Yeah. But, you know, at the same time, it's about showing people who I am. And yes, I'm going to share my passion, but at the same time, I'm going to be who I am 100% all the time. Who you see on social media is who you get in person. I promise you that 110% of the time. And who you hear on this podcast, yes, I do have to turn it on just a little bit, but that's because I have to be a host of a podcast. So yeah, I got to think about the questions and how I'm going to navigate a conversation and stuff like that. So yeah, I do have to do that a little bit. If I didn't, we'd talk for fucking hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, just like we were hanging out, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have to have a little bit of a path to follow, but that doesn't mean that I can't be myself at the same time. I can be myself and still share my passion and still do my passion.
Yep.
Oh man, I really do appreciate you coming on the show. I'm going to start winding it down. I have 3 questions for you though. Before I end every show, I usually ask my guests 3 questions. And what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to mix up my questions now, except for the last one. The last one's always going to be the same. But my first question to you, man, is very simple. If you had to do it all over again, would you?
Yeah.
What would you change? If you could change anything, would you change anything?
No, I wouldn't change anything. Because the things that happened in my past made me stronger today. So I would not change anything.
You would not change anything?
There's probably one thing I would change is telling Brandy not to get on that 4-wheeler.
And that makes sense. That makes sense. I think if we can stop a tragedy from happening, why wouldn't we go back and try to make sure it doesn't happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you did do that, would you have met your wife? Would you have had your kids? You know, there's this whole other idea of what may have come from it.
Yeah.
So I was asked that question, you know, if you can go back knowing what you've been through, what would you change if you can change anything? And I know what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
It fucking sucks.
Yep.
But I wouldn't change anything. I would go back and do everything and have to experience everything over again. It would suck. It would suck a million times, just like it did the first time. And I would hate it just like I do now.
Yep.
But I would do it again because what's happened and how it's happened put me where I'm at now.
Yep.
And where I'm at now, I can't be more thankful for. I have a beautiful woman to call my own. My mental health is a lot better place now than it's ever been before.
Yep.
My podcast is starting to grow. I'm meeting some amazing individuals like yourself, and I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing.
Yep.
So I get where you're coming with that. My second question, brother, is very simple. Do you have any questions for me?
Who's your barber?
Ouch. You're bald too, bro.
I feel your pain, man.
You're bald too. Look at that. You glitched, so nobody saw your bald head. They just saw you reach up. Yeah, there it is. See? Yeah, no, I accidentally hit the mic. My bad, everybody. But no, yeah,
we have the same barber then.
Yeah, ourselves and God.
Age.
God is one hell of a barber. You
know, my mom always told me that God only made few perfect heads, the rest he put hair on.
Ah, that is a mom that doesn't want her son to feel bad about being bald.
Yeah.
That's about all that is. Oh my God. Anyway, all right, man. Well, okay. That was a good question. Pointing out that I'm bald and showing everybody that I'm bald again.
I got nothing to love for you, Josh.
Yeah, I know, brother. I know. My last question for you is, you're on What Makes Us Fire. And for a lot of people that listen to the show, that tune into the show, they feel like they're hearing somebody tell their story as to why they are who they are, right? And that's the point. You know, they're listening to what is it that puts that fire inside of them? What is it that makes us fire? But for me and my guests, it's more of a question. So it's my question to you. What do you think it is inside of all of our civil service members, be it military or first responder, that allows them to have that fire within to continue making the choices and the sacrifices that they have to make to do the job?
The passion and the determination are probably if you have something, for me, it's music. I'm going to chase it till I die. Music is my passion. Just like not only that, but the thought of helping somebody. Just the thought alone. If I can help one person change their mind about taking their own life, man, that just floors me. Same with, EMTs, first responders. They're helping people. You know what I mean? They're defending people. They're helping people. I think that alone, if you can find a person that is truly passionate about helping, then that's the fire right there. There's just the thought of helping somebody.
And I guess my question goes a little bit deeper than that, right? Because you've been in the military, there's a shit ton of different backgrounds of people that go into the military. Different ideas, ideologies, political affiliations, sexual orientations, all of the above, everything, races, colors, creeds, you name it. And yet there's this one thing, you can disagree on everything that this individual has, but there's this one thing that you both agree on, and that's the job. And that is the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from? With all these different backgrounds, with all these different ideas and ideologies, and yet you put us on a mission, and it doesn't matter that I disagree with you on fucking life itself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to be there as your brother to protect you, to defend you, and to have your back.
Yep.
I'm guessing, where does that come from?
And it's just something that's born into you, man. Who gave you life? That person. He's the one that gave that to you. He knew you were going to do something good. So you do it.
I can't argue with that. Whenever somebody brings up faith or God, I can't. There's no arguing with that. Even if it's some other God or some other faith, as soon as they bring that in, there's no argument. There's none, because faith is faith, and you just have to believe it, and you have to feel it, and you have to want it, and you do it because of faith. So I have no rebuttal to that, because I truly think at the end of the day, that's what the answer comes down to.
Yep.
It's just a part of you. And it became a part of you because something bigger than you knew that you'd be able to do it.
Yep. 100%.
Anyway. All right, man. Well, where can everybody find you on social media? How can they find you? Now's your time to plug.
Plugs.
Yes.
So you can find me all social media platforms except for Twitter, which I'm going to get a Twitter now because Elon Musk bought it out. But I probably will get a Twitter now. But you can find all my social medias at David Allen Stone Music. That's Allen with 2 L's, Allen, like David Allen Co., but David Allen Stone Music. You can find me on all social media platforms. You can find my music. It's out everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Pandora. It's everywhere. So you can find it all kinds of places. One more plug I want to throw out there is get ready for a music video coming this month for Bury These Burdens.
Oh, nice. You got a music video. Are you going to have a YouTube channel?
I have a YouTube channel. Yes.
Is it David Allen Stone Music?
Yep.
On YouTube. Awesome. Let me know when that drops and send me a copy of it, because I would love to put it at the end of this podcast episode. I also would like you to send me a copy of your single as well. That way everybody listening will have at the end of the show, you'll be able to hear David Allen Stone's song. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome, everybody. So stay tuned for that after the closer and everything else after the closing. But again, David Allen Stone, thank you so much for jumping on the What Makes Us Fire podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother.
Thank you for forgetting that you were supposed to do this today, but still making the time.
My bad. Thanks for having me, brother. I love you guys so much, man. And I can't wait to hang out with you again. And I'm looking forward to what we can do.
Oh man,
I'm looking forward to the lives we change.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't wait for the next event that we're going to be putting on together. By the way, everybody, if you don't know, we are with Mohawk Music. They are a management company, a music management company, but they also do managing for others like myself. So if you need a host, an MC, motivational speaker, something like that, they also manage those type of people as well, on top of their music artists like David Allen Stone here. So check out Mohawk Music. They are on social media. That's Mohawk with an ED at the end, Mohawk Music. And you'll see a skull with a mohawk run by Miss Cat. So check her out and check out the talent that she represents. What Makes Us Fire Family, remember to have fun, stay safe, show some love and peace out in the world. You never know who's going to need it. You never know if you'll be the one to make the difference. And being that difference feels really fucking good. Be the change you want to see in the world without allowing the world to dictate how you see that change happen. Just be the best version of yourself for yourself first. Give that out into the world, and I promise you the world will change for the better. Much love. Peace. You can say bye now if you want.
Bye!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was my friend, Mr. David Allen Stone. I told you at the beginning of the show that he went through some pretty rough times. His past is full of unfortunate tragedies that some were, you could say, expected, him being deployed into a war zone, but others that weren't. Him losing a loved one to a freak accident on a four-wheeler, and it affected him. But he found a way through. He found that music and telling his story helped him not give the tragedy so much power over his mind and his heart. I want to thank him for being able to relive those stories and to tell them here on the show, and for you to listen and hopefully gain something from that. Gain the knowledge that maybe talking about what's going on is beneficial, can help you move forward. It helped him. He found that music was a passion for himself, and his aunt gave him some great advice. Find something for you and just you. And that goes into everything that I say all the time. Be the best version for yourself first. Nobody else. And you're going to be able to give that best version of yourself to the people that surround you. And that is the goal. That is not allowing the past and the tragedies and the PTSD and the depression and the anxiety to control you. Is it easy? Fuck no, it's not easy. It's hard. It's hard rewiring your brain to think in a new way. But it can be done. I still struggle with it. Plenty of my friends still struggle with it, but you know what? We live healthy lives now because we decided to work on it and we decided to treat it. Start your conversation. If you find yourself on the ledge right now and you need somebody to talk to, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 100% free, anonymous, and confidential. For all our military out there, they do have a military extension that you can talk to somebody that's a little bit more familiar with our line of thinking. I say our line of thinking as in civil service, but I put the National Suicide Prevention Hotline out there because it helped me. It got me off the ledge. And the people that are on the phones that talk to you really care. Truly do. Make the call. The number is 1-800-273-8255. Again, the number is 1-800-273-8255. If making the phone call and talking to somebody is just not on your radar right now, but you feel yourself needing some help, you might be having some ideas or thoughts, SuicidePreventionLifeline.org is a website where you can find a multitude of resources for you to start your conversation, for you to start getting better. National Suicide Prevention Hotline and SuicidePreventionLifeline.org in no way, shape, or form support or sponsor the What Makes Us Fire podcast. These are just two avenues and two entities that I myself, Josh, truly believe. It's that time of the show where I say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for listening. If you are not following us on any of the social media platforms, please, please, please go and do that with the tag at WhatMakesUsFire. That's it, at WhatMakesUsFire. No underscores, no spaces, just at WhatMakesUsFire. You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. We are on all social media. There is also the YouTube channel. So if you're listening to us on an audio version on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, you can also watch the podcast on YouTube. And you can find us with What Makes Us Fire Space Podcast. We need subscribers, you guys. We're trying to get to that 1,000 subscribers. At 1,000 subscribers, YouTube can and will start putting some ads and maybe helping the nonprofit grow with some revenue from that. So if you're not subscribed on YouTube, please do that. Also, we have a new website, whatmakesusfire.org. There you will be able to sign up to be a volunteer. You can donate, and you can purchase What Makes Us Fire merch. You know, hats, shirts, ball caps, bikinis, boxer briefs, you name it, we have it. So go check it out. All the proceeds do go to the What Makes Us Fire Foundation. And again, currently, until we reapply for that 501c3, those donations are going to help rebuild What Makes Us Fire. So I just want to make that 100% clear and known. Y'all, it's been a minute since I put out a podcast, and David, brother, thank you for sharing your story. I'm really happy that your story was the one I came back with after these few weeks of trying to reorganize. But the mission's still the same. I'm here to help my civil service brothers and sisters, military or first responder. I'm here to make sure that they don't feel like they have to sacrifice something else just for themselves, because they're already sacrificing so much for so many, including their families. Start your conversation, y'all. Reach out. There's more people that care than you think. It took me a while to learn that. And it took me just taking the leap and starting to talk to realize it. And it was scary. I was scared shitless. But it can be done. In saying all that, ladies and gentlemen, I did promise you David Allen Stone's song. So please enjoy. Stay safe out there. Be the change you want to see in the world without allowing the world to dictate how you see that change happen. Peace.
Just a plan, facing your this is really all about, 'cause you're not alone. A survivor who thinks he's on his own, a different place than the one where you left your home. And these people, well, they don't understand how you feel, but I do, and I'll bury, yes, I'll bury